All right, welcome. Today we're going to crack open the engine room of India's government, the executive branch. Stick with me, and by the end of this, you'll have these key concepts down cold. It's going to give you a serious edge for your exams. Okay, so let's just dive right in with a huge question. When you look at the whole complex machine of the Indian government, who really holds the power? I mean, day to day, who's actually pulling the levers? Is it the folks in Parliament making the laws, the ministers we see on TV, or is there maybe another power player working behind the scenes that we really need to get a handle on? Well, the answer starts right here, inside what you can think of as the government's command center. This is the part that actually turns all those big plans into real-world action. So, what exactly is the executive? In the simplest terms, it's the branch that takes the laws passed by the legislature and actually puts them into practice. Think of it like this. It's a great analogy. If Parliament is the one writing the playbook, then the executive is the team out on the field. You've got the Prime Minister, the ministers, the whole administrative machine. They're the ones running the plays every single day to keep the country going. Okay, so if the executive is the team, then we have to talk about the captain. Let's zero in on the immense power of the Prime Minister. Jawaharlal Nehru had this perfect description for the Prime Minister. He called the PM the linchpin of government. And what is a linchpin, really? It's that tiny little pin that holds a massive wheel onto its axle. It looks small, but if you pull it out, the whole thing just falls apart. That's a powerful image, right? And that's exactly the PM's role. The entire government machine really does revolve around that single office. So you might be asking, where does all this power actually come from? Well, it's not just one thing. It's a whole bunch of things all rolled into one. First off, the PM is the leader of the majority party in the Lok Sabha. That's huge. Then, they're in charge of the entire Council of Ministers. They command the whole bureaucratic machine. They have direct access to the media so they can shape the public narrative. And of course, they're seen as the national leader, especially when it comes to foreign policy. So you see, it's this mix of political, administrative, and public-facing power that really makes the PM's office so incredibly powerful.
But look, the Prime Minister isn't flying solo here. They lead a team, the Council of Ministers, and how they work together, well, that's absolutely crucial.
And this brings us to a concept you absolutely have to know for your exams: collective responsibility. What does that mean? It means the entire Council of Ministers sinks or swims together. They are responsible to the Lok Sabha as one single body. The sports team analogy is perfect here. If one player messes up, the whole team is on the hook, and the stakes are high. A vote of no confidence against just one minister is seen as a vote against the entire government. That could bring everyone down. So what does this do? It forces them to act as a united front. You either publicly support every single government decision, or you have to resign. There's no middle ground. Now, this is where things get really interesting, because the PM's power isn't a constant. It can change dramatically based on the political situation. On one hand, if you have a single party with a massive majority, the PM is in a super strong position. They can make big, decisive decisions pretty freely. But on the other hand, what if it's a coalition government? And we've seen a lot of those in India, especially since the late 80s. Suddenly, the PM's role shifts. They have to become more of a negotiator, constantly consulting with partners, making compromises, just to keep everyone on board and the government running. It's a totally different ballgame.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the politicians, the ones making the big decisions. But let's get real. Who actually does the work? Who implements these policies on the ground? Well, that's where the government's engine comes in, the bureaucracy.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Who actually implements all of this stuff? And the answer introduces us to the other massive piece of the executive puzzle, this huge, powerful, and, this is key, permanent machinery that's always running in the background.
And here it is. We call this the permanent executive, or what most of us just call the bureaucracy. We're talking about all the trained, skilled civil servants, the people who are permanent employees of the government. Their job is to assist the ministers, help them formulate policy, and then, crucially, to implement it. And I'm going to say it again because it's so important. That word, permanent. That's the game changer here.
So let's break this down, because this distinction is essential for your exams. On one side, you have the political executive. Think ministers. They're temporary, right? They get elected for a specific term, and ultimately they have to answer to the voters. But on the other side, you have the permanent executive, the bureaucracy. These folks are appointed, often for their entire careers, until they retire. And their whole deal is to be politically neutral. Their job is to provide continuity, to keep the ship running smoothly, no matter which political party is at the helm. And this bureaucracy, it's a massive, complex system. It's generally broken down into three main categories. You've got the All India services, like the IAS and IPS, the central services, like the Foreign Service, and then the state services. And for those top-tier jobs, the recruitment is handled by the UPSC, the Union Public Service Commission, which is all about making sure the selection process is based on merit.
Okay, so we've established that the executive is incredibly powerful. You've got these temporary politicians and these permanent officials. So that leads to a really important question. How do we keep them in check? How do we make sure this whole massive machine is actually accountable to us, the people? Thankfully, a democracy has some powerful safeguards built right in. At the top of the list, the entire administration is under the supervision and control of our elected representatives in Parliament. You see, administrative officers can't just go rogue and violate the policies that the legislature has passed. And on top of that, we have powerful tools like the Right to Information Act, or RTI. This literally gives citizens the power to demand information and hold the bureaucracy accountable, making the whole system more responsive.
So this all leaves us with one final, really fascinating thought to chew on. Who do you think has more real, long-term influence? Is it the temporary drivers, the elected ministers who come and go every few years? Or is it the permanent engine, the bureaucrats who are there for decades, implementing policy on the ground year after year? It's a classic debate, and it really gets to the heart of where power truly lies.
I really hope this deep dive into the Indian executive helps you get ready and feel more confident for your exams. If it was helpful, do me a favor. Hit that like button, share it with your friends who might need it, and of course, subscribe to the A1 Institute. We've got a lot more explainers coming your way to make even the toughest topics feel simple. Thanks so much for watching.